I had been traveling for over 2 days when I arrived at the edge of the Grand Canyon. Who's been there? Several of you. I stood there transfixed by the beauty and power of these layers upon layers of rocks that had been exposed to the air and to my sight. This rock had been slowly changed into a majestic canyon over centuries by water. One of the most beautiful and important sights in our country was formed by the very same element that nourishes us all and gives us life. Water, central to and necessary for every living thing. Water is changed by everything it encounters, and it changes everything it touches. This is why it is so important and appropriate for our ritual of ingathering. We live in a closed system, a planet where the waters that once covered much of this earth in ice are the same waters that are found in Lake Michigan or in the Nile. Just as we know that when we leave this beloved community, perhaps because we moved to another place, or perhaps just for the summer, that there is still something we all share. We are still connected by a common life, a common bond, an interdependent web, perhaps. And as waters are changed by our travels through them, even when the change is hard to see, we know that we too are changed by our travels together as a community. Even when a stream forks and the water flows on in different branches, it carries with it the force of that shared community. We are forever changed by our time together. Likewise, different streams and creeks come together, combining their power to form rushing rivers. As we bring water from many different places, whether in reality or symbolically, we recognize how we are interconnected with one another and how even the smallest change we make together can transform everything. Even if we have simply brought water from the tap in this building into this space, it matters because these waters have traveled far, just as all of us have. Water, I think, is a good symbol for this congregation, for this time of transition and transformation. It is a powerful force that cannot help but change and be changed. Water reminds us there are many kinds of power. There is power of steady presence over time. It took centuries to carve the Grand Canyon. There is power of actively nourishing life day to day, as seen by the critters inhabiting a lake, the plant life fed by rain, the joy of a swimming pool. And taken to the extreme, water also demonstrates the powers of danger and destruction that we find in floods, hurricanes, and violent storms. We choose water to represent what it means to be together in our new congregational year because we recognize the same things about ourselves. We can offer one another and the world the power of a steady presence that carves stone. We can offer one another and the world life and joy. And we can become destructive in our relationships with one another and the world through mistrust, breaking our covenant, not being honest or kind. So we work together to protect our beloved community and the relationships we have built with each other, just as we must work to protect the water that offers us life. Over the last year, the congregation chose water for our social justice focus because we recognize the truth that from water comes life. We are changed, served, and strengthened by the waters of the world, the literal water that flows from clean wells and taps, and the spiritual waters of our relationships with each other. May they always nurture us. Amen. I invite you to rise as you're willing and able and join me in singing number 1046, Shall We Gather